It was the height of the Cold War with the Soviet Union.
Before the dark powers of destruction,
John F. Kennedy had been president
by science
for 3 days.
Engulf all humanity in planned or accidental self-destruction.
Government documents show a B-52 bomber like this one was flying over eastern North Carolina. It was carrying 2 atomic bombs as part of Operation Chrome Dome. It was armed and ready in the event a nuclear strike was needed. That's when the B-52 developed a fuel leak.
When the cockpit saw it, said, we're not going to be able to push up this wing.
Onslow County native Adam Maddox was one of the co-pilots on that B-52.
We pulled back 1 and 2 to level the wings out, and it's just not working.
In this WCTI interview from 2013, Maddox says they tried dumping fuel, but just after midnight on January 24th, the wings started to fall apart. They couldn't save that B-52. It became a broken arrow situation. Maddox says the captain made the call for the 8 crew members to bail out. 6 made it out, 2 went down with a plane, 1 died in the jump. Maddox, the only one without an ejection seat, so he had an ominous decision to make.
Either to jump out the top, which nobody had lived up until that time, or crawl down the hatch and follow the navigators out.
He says he decided to go up through a hole made by one of the other ejection seats.
I couldn't get out, couldn't push myself up. I also grayed out.
But he somehow made it out and avoided getting hit by the tail fin.
And when I went out, I didn't feel nothing, wasn't no movement or whatsoever. And I'm saying, I'm here suspended in space.
Maddox is the only known pilot to get out of a B-52 without an ejection seat, and he had a bird's eye view of those 2 atomic bombs thrown from the plane.
That bomb had never been tested, dropped and tested in the United States or nowhere else.
1 bomb had a parachute and floated to the ground. Documents unsealed in 2011 state it was 1 safety switch away from exploding and causing the worst man-made disaster in history. The other bomb's parachute did not work. It hit the ground in Wayne County at an estimated 700 miles per hour, and the warhead has not been seen since. Jennifer Kuykendall's phone rings a little more often these days.
Wayne County Museum, how can I help you?
The B-52 crash in a rural area 12 miles north of Goldsboro.
Oh, the Broken Arrow incident.
Less than 2 miles west of the Greene County line.
We've gotten calls from National Geographic, the History Channel. I understand there's a film in the works. So Hollywood's interested too.
And the area where the bomb went missing has become the destination for the curious.
They want to know exactly where it happened and where the bomb is.
In 2012, the state put up a road sign in the 1 stoplight town of Eureka. It furthered the curiosity of what happened.
Yeah, I pretty much eat here breakfast and dinner every day, and it's always somebody stopping and taking a picture and looking at the sign. You know, it's talked about more now than it used to be, and people are just interested in seeing where it hit at.
But finding the exact location of the plane crash and the bomb is a challenge.
I think the government does not want people, going and digging around, looking for souvenirs. But certainly some people who have been here a long time know where it is.
Including Earl Lancaster.
Right here is where the bomb on the airplane fell, landed.
So it's somewhere right underneath our feet.
Right in this territory.
We were given permission by the current landowner, Ben Benton, to be on the land right off of Big Daddy's Lane. It's less than a half mile away from Earl's home. It's the same house he was sleeping in with his wife and baby son when that B-52 went down a little after midnight, January 24th, 1961.
I remember that light flashing. But the reason my wife, she's a light sleeper, but she said she heard the plane before the blast, seconds or 2. Yeah. And then that went off, or she woke me right then, and I just stood up side the bed and looked out the window. There wasn't another one. That's when I saw this. Looked like you turned the light on.
Earl says he immediately jumped into action. He was a member of the Fayreau Volunteer Fire Department and was one of the first on the scene of the crash.
And they told us not to attack the plane if we knew it was military, 'cause they would take care of it.
And he wasn't there long when he heard an ominous voice.
A man come from the base. He got out on the loudspeaker. He said, for all of your protection, go as far as you can in a hurry, 'cause this plane was loaded. We don't know how much, we don't know what. He could take up a big circle. So I come here and I went a mile down the road to my daddy's house.
We know the bombs never detonated. Earl says he was allowed to go back to his home the next day, but military guards were set up next to his driveway, and no one was allowed to get any closer to the missing bomb site, so he did the next best thing.
I got out of my car and went riding. Of course, I won't suppose but I couldn't stay up there.
He took some pictures along the way, so we jumped in the car and recreated his route of discovery 62 years later.
And I went down this road right here, mile down the road. There was a bomb hanging in the tree.
You saw it?
I saw it. I didn't know what I was looking at. But that big parachute, it was covered that whole tree and hit like by that much into the ground. The bomb did.
He then went to some of his farmland on Short Road and found big parts of the plane.
Just a little bit to the left of it is where that tail section was laid.
So this is where the debris field started, was this way?
We say it started back to Bullhead. We're going to go to Bullhead.
One of the wings was laying next to a clothesline at one of the houses.
And now the other part of the wing was laying out on that field.
Okay.
Behind that camper.
Yes, sir.
About middle of the way that field.
Wow.
And then things just strode from there to the other road. Which way.
Further down the road on the other side of the Greene County line is where 3 of the pilots landed.
See, that's real thick woods. This is a creek run that way, one run this way.
Earl was not allowed anywhere near the buried bomb site for weeks. He was told they found the tail of the missing bomb as well as the detonators, but not the warhead.
News is what I was getting it from. Okay. Every time they get close to it, evidently they had some kind of device they could, radio, radar or whatever, pick it up. It would keep moving.
The military finally gave up searching for the plutonium. Documents state too much groundwater was making the recovery impossible, so they filled in the hole and left. According to Earl, this site is identifiable as a soft spot in the field where ruts are still easily made. It's about 100 yards from a grove of trees most people think is the bomb site, but that is actually an old, overgrown cemetery. Government officials told Lancaster and his neighbors the missing warhead was not a threat to their safety.
We sort of worried about his water, nuclear, but the health department or the county or whoever, they checked our water.
Do they still come out and check it? Do you know?
No, they went for several years. I don't know how many, but they hadn't been, as I know of, for the last few years. Nobody complained.
Well, you're almost 90, so I guess it's been okay, right?
Yeah.
6 decades have passed. Earl says the memories are still fresh, especially when he hears a plane flying overhead.
For a long time, you kind of hesitate a little bit. It pulls your attention when you hear our airplane.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Especially a loud one.
And while the big question remains, will anyone ever find that missing warhead?
Loose, but at least it's a Pepsi product.
I had one more question for Earl.
Well, if they make a movie, who do you want to play you in the movie?
I don't know where anybody wants to play me or not. Just old poor boy.
But everyone wants to know the story of the missing nuclear bomb. In Fayreau, I'm Brian North, News Channel 12.